You ever stand in a room where the air just stops? Where every eye is locked on you, but the person who should be defending you is busy polishing his own reflection in the glass wall. That was me, standing in the boardroom, watching my boss, Derek, take a slow sip of his overpriced matcha, smile that slick, practice smile, and tell the CEO that he was the mastermind behind Project Apex. The project I built. The project I bled for. The project that was supposed to be my ticket to director. He didn't just steal my promotion. He looked me dead in the eye, called me a solid support player, and handed me a lateral move to a desk in the basement. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink, because in that exact second, something inside me just clicked and I wasn't angry anymore. I was calculating. And Derek? He had no idea. He just handed me the keys to his own destruction. If you've ever been stepped on by someone who thought they were untouchable, if you've ever watched a credit stealer glide through life while you grind in the shadows, then you're in the right place. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a story about revenge. It's a masterclass in patience, precision, and poetic justice. Grab a drink. Get comfortable. And let's talk about how I watched a man's entire career collapse in real time. Phase 1. The grind and the promise. Let's rewind. Because to understand how this all went down, you gotta understand the battlefield. I've been at Viridian Solutions for 6 years. 6 years of showing up at 7:30 a.m. 6 years of eating cold takeout at my desk while everyone else clocked out at 5. 6 years of turning around failing accounts, mentoring the new hires, and basically keeping the entire analytics department from imploding. I wasn't just an employee. I was the glue. The guy who stayed late to fix the data pipeline when the servers crashed at 2 a.m. The guy who flew to Chicago in a snowstorm to save a six-figure client. The guy who actually gave a damn. And for what? A pat on the back? A great job, Mark, in the group chat? A pizza party when we hit Q3 targets? Nah, I wanted the director role. It wasn't just about the title. It was about respect. It was about finally being seen. And my manager, Derek, he knew it. He dangled it in front of me like a carrot on a fishing line for 18 months. Just get Apex across the finish line, Mark. You nail this, and the seat's yours. I'll put in the word with the VP. You've earned it. Project Apex wasn't just another campaign. It was a complete overhaul of our client reporting infrastructure. We're talking custom dashboards, automated data syncing, predictive analytics models, the whole 9 yards. I designed the architecture. I coded the backend. I trained the team. I literally slept on the office couch for 3 weeks straight when we hit the integration bottleneck. I had coffee stains on my keyboard and dark circles under my eyes that looked like bruises. But I didn't care, because every line of code, every late night, every sacrificed weekend was an investment in my future. Derek? He popped in once a week, asked for a quick sync, nodded like he understood what I was saying, then vanished back into his corner office to play golf with the regional directors. He didn't build Apex. He didn't debug it. He didn't stay late. He just existed in the vicinity of success. And in corporate America, sometimes that's enough. But I told myself it didn't matter. Results speak louder than optics, right? Once the system went live, once the client saw the efficiency boost, once the numbers spoke for themselves, they'd have to give me the promotion. There'd be no way around it. I was so naive. Phase 2, the betrayal. Launch day arrived. Apex went live at 6 a.m. By 9 a.m., 3 major clients had already logged in. By noon, the dashboard was pulling data faster than our old system ever dreamed. By 3 p.m., the VP of Operations sent an email. Incredible work. This is exactly what we needed. I was riding high. I actually cleaned my desk. I updated my LinkedIn. I started mentally rearranging my schedule for the director role. I even bought a new blazer for the promotion meeting. The meeting was scheduled for Friday at 10 a.m. Glass conference room. CEO, VP, Derek, and me. I walked in with my portfolio, my metrics, my talking points. I was ready. Derek was already there, leaning back in his chair, tapping a gold pen against a leather notebook. He didn't look at me. He just smiled at the CEO. All right, team, the CEO started. Let's talk about Apex. Derek, walk us through the rollout. And then it happened. Derek stood up, adjusted his cuffs, and began pitching my project as if he'd birthed it himself. As you know, I spearheaded the Apex initiative to streamline our reporting architecture. I identified the bottlenecks, I designed the new framework, and I personally oversaw the integration phase. It wasn't easy. There were late nights, tough decisions, and a lot of pushback from the analytics team. But I pushed through, and the results speak for themselves. My blood turned to ice as I sat there, frozen, watching him steal my work, my sleep, my sanity, and wrap it in a neat little bow labeled Derek's Vision. He used my exact phrasing. He referenced my troubleshooting notes. He even quoted the client feedback I'd compiled. But not once, not a single time, did he mention my name. When he finished, the CEO nodded. Impressive, Derek. This is exactly the leadership we need moving forward. Effective immediately, you're promoted to Senior Director of Analytics. Congratulations. Derek gave a humble little nod. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without the team's support, especially Mark. He's been a solid support player throughout. Solid support player. The words hit me like a physical weight. I felt my stomach drop. My ears started ringing. The fluorescent lights suddenly felt too bright, too loud, too suffocating. I looked at the VP. She was scrolling through her phone. I looked at the CEO. He was already checking his watch. Nobody questioned it. Nobody asked for details. Nobody cared, because in their eyes, Derek was the face. I was just the hands. The meeting wrapped in 12 minutes. I packed my folder, stood up, walked out. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. If I opened my mouth, I knew I'd either scream or cry, and neither option would change a damn thing. That I went back to my desk, sat down, stared at my monitor. The Apex dashboard was still running. Green lights everywhere. Smooth. Flawless. Mine. And I had just been demoted to Junior Support Liaison. A fancy title for the guy who fixes Derek's mistakes. I went to the bathroom, locked the stall, sat on the closed toilet lid, and just breathed. I was furious. I was humiliated. I was exhausted. Every fiber of my body wanted to march into HR, drop a resignation letter, and burn the whole place to the ground. But then I stopped and I thought about my rent, my student loans, my mom's medical bills. I thought about the job market. I thought about how easy it is to get labeled difficult or unprofessional when you react emotionally. Oh, I made a choice. I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to complain. I wasn't going to give Derek the satisfaction of watching me break. I was going to wait, and I was going to plan. Phase 3, the breaking point and the shift. Revenge isn't about rage. Rage is messy. Rage gets you fired. Rage gets you blacklisted. Real revenge? It's cold. It's quiet. It's surgical. I spent the next 48 hours in a fog. I showed up to work. I smiled when I was supposed to. I nodded in meetings. I answered emails. But inside, I was mapping that I knew Derek's weaknesses. Everyone does if they pay attention. Derek was a politician, not an operator. He loved the spotlight but hated the trenches. He delegated everything. He skimmed reports. He relied on shortcuts. And most importantly, he didn't understand the system he just claimed to build. Apex wasn't just a dashboard. It was a living ecosystem. It had fail-safes. It had dependency chains. It had authentication protocols that required specific admin keys. Keys that only I possessed. Keys that Derek didn't even know existed. When I built Apex, I didn't just code it for efficiency. I coded it for control. Not in a malicious way. In a, if you're going to run this, you need to understand it way. I'd set up automated audit logs. I'd configured backup triggers. I'd embedded diagnostic scripts that would flag anomalies before they became disasters. Derek thought he'd won, but he'd just inherited a Ferrari without knowing how to change the OIL, and why turning point came on a Tuesday. Derek called me into his office. His new office. The one with the corner view and the leather chair. He didn't even look up from his monitor when I walked in. Mark, sit. Saturday. We've got the quarterly review with the board next month. I need you to prep the Apex performance metrics. Clean, concise, executive ready. I'll present them. He slid a folder across the desk. It was my work. Again. You'll have it by Friday? He asked, finally looking at me. His eyes were flat, dismissive, like I was a printer that needed ink. Of course, I said. My voice was steady, calm, almost pleasant. Good. And Mark? Try to keep the technical jargon out of it. The board doesn't care about the back end. They care about the bottom line. He smiled. That same slick, practiced smile that I stood up, nodded, walked out. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about a promotion anymore. This was about dignity. This was about sending a message that you can't step on people forever and expect the ground to stay quiet. And I went back to my desk. Opened a secure, encrypted drive. Started a new folder. Named it Apex_audit. I wasn't going to sabotage the system. Sabotage is amateur. Sabotage gets traced. Sabotage gets you sued. I was going to let the system do the work for me. Phase 4, the blueprint. Here's where the chess match began, and I knew I couldn't just pull the plug. That would look petty. That would look like retaliation. I needed this to look like natural consequences. I needed Derek to dig his own grave, hand me the shovel, and ask me to hold the dirt. Step 1. Documentation that I started archiving everything. Every email where Derek took credit. Every Slack message where he delegated critical tasks to me while claiming ownership. Every meeting note where he misrepresented the timeline. I didn't just save them. I timestamped them. I cross-referenced them. I built a timeline so airtight you could bounce a quarter off it, but I didn't send it to HR. Not yet. HR protects the company, not the employee. HR would bury it in paperwork, call it a personnel matter, and tell me to focus on my role. I'd been down that road before. It leads nowhere. Step 2. The trap. Apex had a feature I'd built called predictive load balancing. Sounds fancy, right? Basically, it anticipated server traffic spikes and redistributed resources automatically. But it relied on a specific authentication token to access the primary database. A token that rotated every 72 hours. A token that only my admin profile could generate. Derek didn't know this. He thought the system ran on autopilot. I did something subtle. I didn't break anything. I just adjusted the parameters. I set the token rotation to require manual verification every 4th cycle. A standard security protocol. Totally normal. Totally defensible, but I buried the verification step in a submenu Derek never used. I labeled it Advanced Admin Protocol. I made it look like routine maintenance. And I waited. Step 3. The bait. The board review was in 3 weeks. Derek was planning to announce a massive client expansion using Apex. He wanted to show off. He wanted to look like a visionary. So I helped him. I prepped the metrics. I polished the slides. I even added a section called Scalability Roadmap that highlighted how Apex could handle triple the current load. He loved it. Perfect, Mark. This is why you're invaluable. Invaluable, right? I nodded, smiled, said, just doing my job. But inside, I was counting down because I knew what was coming. I knew that when Derek tried to scale the system for the board demo, the authentication protocol would trigger. It would ask for manual verification. He wouldn't know where to find it. He'd panic. He'd try to bypass it. He'd trigger a system lockdown. And the entire demo would crash. In front of the CEO, in front of the board, in front of the clients, and I'd be sitting in the back row, watching. Phase 5, the execution. The day of the board review arrived. The conference room was packed. CEO, VP, 3 board members, 2 key clients, and Derek standing at the head of the table like a general surveying his troops. I was seated in the back, laptop open, notebook ready. Invisible, Derek started strong, confident. He walked through the slides like he'd rehearsed them in the mirror. He talked about efficiency. He talked about innovation. He talked about leadership. Then he clicked to the scalability demo. As you can see, he said, gesturing to the screen, Apex is built to grow. We're projecting a 300% increase in client onboarding by Q2. Let's run a live stress test. He hit execute. The screen loaded. Graphs appeared. Numbers climbed. Everything looked perfect. Then the authentication prompt popped up. Derek frowned, clicked dismiss. It popped up again. He clicked settings, scrolled, didn't find it. Just a moment, he muttered. Minor glitch. He tried to force the scale command. The system flagged it. Silence. Thick, heavy, suffocating silence. The CEO leaned forward. Derek. What's happening? Derek's face went pale. He started clicking frantically, opening tabs, typing commands he didn't understand, sweating through his expensive shirt. It's just a security update. I'll have it resolved in a minute. But it wasn't a minute. It was 5, then 10. The clients exchanged glances. The board members started checking their watches. The VP whispered something to the CEO that made him frown. Derek turned to me. His eyes were wide, desperate. Mark, fix it. I didn't move right away. I let the silence stretch. I let him feel the weight of every stolen credit, every dismissed effort, every condescending support player comment. Then I stood up, walked to the front, opened my laptop, typed 2 lines of code, entered the admin token, hit verify. The system rebooted. The graphs returned. The dashboard went green. All clear, I said quietly. The security protocol requires manual verification during high-load scaling. It's in the admin manual. Page 42. Derek stared at me. His mouth opened, closed. He looked at the CEO. The CEO looked at him. Page 42, the CEO repeated. You didn't know about this? Derek stammered. I delegated the technical setup. I focused on strategy. You claimed you designed the architecture. The VP said coldly, in your promotion review, you said you personally oversaw integration. Derek's face went from pale to crimson. He looked like a man who'd just realized he'd been standing on a trapdoor the entire time. The meeting ended 20 minutes early. No applause. No congratulations. Just awkward nods and quiet exits. I packed my laptop, walked out, didn't look back. Climactic revenge payoff. By Monday, internal audit was launched. Not by me, by the board. They requested a full review of Apex's development timeline, credit attribution, and administrative access logs. I didn't have to submit a single document. The system did it for me. The audit trails were automatic. The email archives were time-stamped. The Slack history was preserved. Everything pointed to one conclusion. Derek hadn't built Apex. He hadn't managed it. He hadn't even understood it. He just attached his name to it and hoped nobody looked too closely. HR called me in on Wednesday. Not to discipline me. To apologize. Mark, we've reviewed the findings. The promotion decision is being reversed. Effective immediately, you're reinstated as Director of Analytics. Derek has been placed on administrative leave pending further review. I nodded, didn't smile, didn't gloat, just said, thank you. I'll get started on the transition. Derek was fired on Friday. No severance. No glowing recommendation. Just a cardboard box, a security escort, and a lifetime ban from the building. I heard he tried to blame me. Said I sabotaged the system. Said I set him up. But the audit logs didn't lie. The security protocol was standard. The verification step was documented. The only person who failed was the one who claimed to be an expert but couldn't read a manual. Karma doesn't always come with thunder and lightning. Sometimes it comes with a quiet click, a frozen screen, a red banner, a moment of silence where a man realizes he built his entire career on borrowed time, and the clock just ran out. People ask me if I feel bad, if I went too far, if I should have just let it go. But here's the thing about justice. It doesn't ask for permission. It just waits for the right moment. I didn't destroy Derek's career. He did that himself. I just stopped holding the ladder while he climbed it. I just refused to keep quiet while he rewrote history. I just let the truth speak for itself. And in a world that rewards loudness over integrity, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay calm, stay precise, and let the system do the rest. In the last wording, if this story gave you chills, if you've ever been stepped on by someone who thought they were untouchable, then you know exactly how this feels. Smash that like button right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, What's the most satisfying moment of justice you've ever witnessed? Or better yet, what would you have done in my shoes? And if you want more stories like this, real, raw, deeply satisfying revenge tales that prove karma always balances the books, make sure you're subscribed to American Sleep Tales. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a drop. Because trust me, we're just getting started. Stay sharp, stay patient, and remember, the best revenge isn't loud. It's inevitable that I'll see you in the next one, right here on American Sleep Tales.